Golden State Media Concepts Fantasy Football Podcast is your one-stop shop for fantasy football news and advice. Can't decide on who to draft on the first round? Going gaga on how to line up your team. Got you covered. Traditional league, dynasty league, PPR league, IDP league, even daily fantasy football league. Join us as we break down all the questions of fantasy football. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Fantasy Football Podcast.
And welcome to the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Jeff Maloff, and with me is my fantasy football rival, Marc Souza. We have a lot to talk about today. Our top performers from each position from this Week 6, as well as the duds, what to do with them if they're in your lineup. And what else do we have on tap for today, Marc?
We're going to recap our picks as we selected a lineup, as we compete with each other every week. We will add up the points and see who won, and the loser will do 10 push-ups.
Ooh, goody. Anyways, let's move on. Let's do our best performers by position. I think we should start with the running back position because that's the moneymaker. Todd Gurley wins this, am I right?
Yeah, Gurley finishes with 38.5 points and half PPR scoring. Just another great day. 200 yards rushing for him. Did he score 2 or 3 touchdowns? I can't even remember.
I believe it was 2.
He was in the end zone. He's always in the end zone. So, yes, he put up a great game. Once again, I think fantasy football fans have been supremely happy with their Todd Gurley pick.
Yeah, he obviously is the best running back in the NFL by far at the moment. Is that an exaggeration, or do you think that's fact?
Yeah, I think he's the best running back in the NFL right now. It's arguable, definitely. There's other guys that could make the claim, but he's putting in points. He plays in a high-scoring offense, so everything's going really well for him right now. Okay,
good. Let's go to quarterback.
Hold on.
Oh, sorry.
We're still not done with the running backs. There's more than
one.
one.
I thought we were just doing number ones.
No, we'll talk about the top 3 or 4.
Oh, okay.
Barkley had 37.4. Melvin Gordon had 36.
Barkley was carried that offense on the Giants side.
Yeah. So Barkley, again, that Thursday night game, he looked impressive. Put up a lot of points for your fantasy teams. Melvin Gordon, another huge game, 36 points. Kareem Hunt, 31. James Conner, 29. Sony Michel, 24. Some big games out of running backs this week.
It was a running back day, that's for sure.
Yeah, so anybody in that list that impressed you?
Todd Gurley, 208 yards speaks for itself. That was unbelievable.
Yeah. What about James Conner having a huge game, and now that there's news that Le'Veon Bell will be back?
Le'Veon Bell has not yet reported to Pittsburgh Steelers, and with 111 yards rushing, you might as well just make an example and just start Connors again. Keep that momentum rolling.
Yeah, he'll probably still be in the mix, especially when Bell gets back. We'll see how much, though. You want to move on to quarterbacks, talk about the top performers?
I'd love to.
Do you know who finished with the number 1 quarterback week?
May I guess?
Go ahead.
I think it is Patrick Mahomes.
It is not.
Ooh.
He's number 2.
Okay, who else had a high-scoring game? Would I say... No, it can't be. Dak Prescott?
He's number 3.
I'm getting so close. It's not Tom Brady, is it?
It is not.
Okay, let's think. Who had a good game? Oh. No, that wouldn't be it.
Somebody that you could have picked up from the waiver wire a couple weeks ago.
Okay,
or this week even.
That's okay. That broadens it a little bit. Or that narrows it down, I mean. Give me a division he's on.
NFC South.
NFC South. So it's either... Wait. No way. Jameis Winston? Really?
Jameis Winston, 38.9 fantasy points.
I don't believe you.
Mahomes at 34.
Wow.
Dak had 33.
On a losing team, he had the most points. Wow.
You know, that happens a lot, though, when you're having to play catch-up. Like, for example, Andrew Luck.
Yeah, just surprising that Jameis Winston, of all people, went with the top performance of quarterbacks.
Trubisky, Matt Ryan, and Brock Osweiler also had a big fantasy day.
Okay, okay. If anyone think about putting Brock Osweiler, do not. He's going to be sitting next game, guaranteed. That's my guess.
We have a quarterback controversy.
I guarantee you he's not starting next week.
The Broctagon.
Enough with that. That doesn't make any sense. He's a football player, not a UFC fighter.
Yeah, but you are now entering the Broctagon.
Do you want me to walk out? Because I will.
You won't.
You won't. I will.
Don't.
Yeah, don't say Broctagon again.
You have to do some editing after the show. Don't leave. How about we move on to wide receivers?
All right, fine.
Tyreek Hill, the number one receiver this week. I think you called that one, right?
Oh, yeah, I did. Thank you.
You want to know who's number two? You'll never guess.
Thielen?
Nope.
Is it dude from Miami?
Albert Wilson.
Yeah. He's like, a fourth string running wide receiver?
And guess who's number three?
What, I guess this one?
No.
So it's not Julio Jones?
No.
Wait a minute. There was another guy that had a huge game. What's his name?
I don't know, Jeff. Why don't you figure it out?
He's not a starter, is he? He's like a slot receiver.
9 catches, 100 yards, and 2 TDs.
9 catches, 100 yards, 2 TDs. What division?
NFC East.
Wait. NFC, so it has to be a Redskin, a Giant.
It doesn't have to be.
NFC East. NFC East, so it has to be a Giant, a Redskin, a Cowboy, or a... What's the other one? Giants.
Eagles.
No, Eagles. Jesus, sorry. Alshon Jeffrey?
Nope.
Is it an Eagle?
It is not.
Is it a Cowboy?
It is.
Cole Beasley.
Cole Beasley.
Got it.
Yeah, and then Tyrell Williams and Adam Thielen round off the top 5. All of those men posted 25 points or more in half PPR scoring. It seems like there's just a lot of points in fantasy football this week. Quite a few receivers actually topped over 20 points. Antonio Brown, Julio.
That one touchdown at the end of the game, I think that put him over the top.
Yeah, Emmanuel Sanders, and Tyler Boyd all finished over as well. Why don't we talk about tight ends?
Okay, fine.
Who do you think had the highest tight end score?
Who had the best tight end score? I'm going to go with...
You're wrong. It is Austin Hooper, 17.6 fantasy points. Second is Eric Ebron. Third is David Njoku. Fourth is O.J. Howard. And then Zach Ertz. Not a big day yesterday from tight ends. We didn't see anybody get over 17.6 points. Gronk and Kelsey were held largely in check in their game, in their Sunday Night Football matchup. Yeah, not a whole lot of points. Anybody stand out for you?
Well, Gronk had that clutch catch at the end of the game against the Chiefs.
That really saved his day. He was at 6 points until that play, 6.5.
I was going to mention that he was struggling until that point.
Yeah, absolutely. So not a whole lot to talk about for tight ends, as it wasn't a tight end week in fantasy football. More of a receivers, but definitely a running backs week. How about defenses? Who do you think posted the highest?
Texans.
Very close.
Because the 2 pick sixes, I thought that would put them over.
Very close, but the Ravens actually had the highest defense.
The Raiders?
Ravens.
Oh, I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
The Ravens at 25 points, the Texans at 24, Seattle at 23. How about those Buffalo Bills, though? 21 points.
Not bad. Not bad at all. Wait, the Buffalo Bills got 21 points?
Yeah, their defense, 21. And then the Vikings defense showed up yesterday with a 16-point performance.
Wow.
But the Ravens had 11 sacks yesterday on Marcus Mariota. They posted a shutout, so it's easy to see why they posted the highest fantasy score for a defense with 11 sacks and no points given up. That's usually a good recipe for success, wouldn't you say?
Sure, why not? I mean, if you're going to give up no points, I mean, why even bother, right? I'm just kidding. That's pretty darn impressive to shut out a team that's in the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, what's the last position that you would like to talk about?
That's all of them, isn't it?
Well, there is one position
The
left.
kicker?
The kickers. The kickers
Justin
never get any
Tucker.
respect.
Justin Tucker, I'll guess.
Justin Tucker? Nah. He didn't kick any field goals.
I don't know any other kickers.
You don't know any?
Oh, that's a lie. I do, but it's not, Gronkowski?
Wait, who?
Steven Gronkowski?
Steven who?
You know who I'm talking about.
Goskowski?
I can't pronounce his name right, okay? Just say it.
Jason Myers on...
I have trouble pronouncing Polish
Jason Myers on the New York
Myers?
Jets posted 27 points from a kicker.
The Jets, Jets.
7 for 7 from field goals and 3 for 3 from points after attempt. So points after touchdown. So isn't that a ridiculous score?
That is a ridiculous score. Almost as ridiculous as, I don't know. I couldn't think of anything on the spot. I'm bad at this.
Yeah, so Goskowski, though, you had a good guess. He had 22 points. We got the kicker from Dallas, Marr. He had 21. Harrison Butker at 18. Big game for him. Dustin Hopkins, 14.
A lot of up in the more points than I expected.
Yeah. So any notable performances that you'd like to talk about for fantasy other than Todd Gurley, somebody that stood out to you?
Tyreek Hill.
Yeah. What about like Jameis Winston?
That was surprising.
Do you like Jameis Winston moving forward?
He's the starter from now on. He's going to be the guy, though. That's my prediction.
Would you start him next week? He plays against Cleveland at home.
That's a tough one because Cleveland is coming off a rough game, but their defense is still stellar with interceptions and turnovers. I wouldn't because I think the Browns are still a turnover machine. Phillip Rivers was having a great day. Melvin Gordon was on a roll. I don't think the Buccaneers have that star player. Like Mike Evans is great, but I don't think Winston's going to be able to throw the ball to him because he's going to be covered by elite defenders.
What about a top performer, Dak Prescott, 33 points? He plays against the Redskins next week. Would you play him against the Redskins?
If they keep going with the option and the Redskins do tape, I don't see him doing that well, but I will take a risk and say yes.
Yeah, I think that the Cowboys, I think Dak is a good play next week.
I know the Redskins did well today or yesterday, but I'm still putting it as like this team is so up and down that I think it's down time.
It's interesting to see because the Redskins handled Cam Newton pretty well, and the Cowboys are a similar team, right? Like they have a really good running back who's elusive, and then they have a quarterback who's mobile. Maybe not the best receiving core, so I'd be interested.
But play action can get those guys open.
I'd be interested in Dak. I don't know about Winston. I'm still not confident that he's going to be able to do that week in, week out. He got to play a very weak team. But what about Mitchell Trubisky? This is his second big game in a row. He had 33 points. What do you think about him?
Momentum going. Who are they playing next week?
New England.
Actually, their secondary is not that good. So yes, play him.
Are you worried though because he is a young quarterback and usually Belichick will game plan very well against those younger quarterbacks?
Well, look what happened with Mahomes. He had 4 touchdowns.
I agree, but I don't know if Mahomes is as good or as Trubisky's as dynamic.
I understand that, but why not take the chance? If Trubisky can get that many points in consecutive games, and New England secondary is not the best, let's get real here. He could have a good game. It's a possibility.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he
like
could
Henry
repeat.
Garnett used to say, anything is possible.
He could repeat. What about Tyreek Cohen? Tyreek Cohen had another really good game, 19 fantasy points. We've seen him kind of have a resurgence after starting off the season so slow. 29 points a week before, 19 points yesterday. Do you think that he's a good option going forward?
I would keep an eye on him because injuries, like you said before. But if he's doing well right now, if he's consistent, why not? Why take him out now? You got to keep him momentum, especially in the NFL. Like when it comes to fantasy football, momentum is key.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Sure. So I think we should probably take a short break. When we come back, we'll talk about the other side of the coin, the fantasy duds.
Wait, heads or tails?
We'll talk about the fantasy duds. We'll talk about what you should do with them moving forward. If it was a one-game thing, if it's something we can see happening
mode,
more.
Hit the panic button.
We'll talk about those situations next.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And welcome back to the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. We just finished talking about the best players of last Sunday. Now we're going to go on with the duds and what to do with them. Who's your first dud, Mark?
Blake Bortles.
Blake Bortles.
12 fantasy points.
That's rough.
It's really rough. You're looking for consistency there. Maybe you don't get a 30-point performance from a quarterback, but 12 is really hard to overcome.
12 is you're going to lose games.
Yeah, so these are his numbers in his first 6. 15 points, 40, 9, 28, 22, 12. What do you do with
That's
Blake
his
Bortles?
worst. So yesterday was his worst game, correct?
Well, he had 8.
Or 8, granted. Yeah.
So what do you do going forward is he has Houston in his next matchup.
Well, he did. You said he had 41 game?
He had 40, yeah, against New England.
That's incredible. Like that's huge points. That's it gives you victories. But you're right. Having 12 points, like, do you think it's worth having that much inconsistency with your quarterback?
No. And I would say after yesterday's game that you probably should not start him against Houston because Houston's defense is pretty good.
Okay, they played Peterman. Let's get real here.
But Houston's defense is pretty good. Like
Yeah.
Watt and Clowney, like they're not a pushover defense.
No, of course not. But again, you're comparing how they played against a Bills team who had their backup quarterback who's Mr. Pick Thrower.
Would you feel confident starting Bortles against Houston?
Yeah, I would. Depending on who my other quarterback is on my team, I would bench him and just hold on to him for now because he does have some good games in him. Like, it's not just consistently bad. It's just inconsistency that's going to worry me. But I'll hold on to him as my backup for now.
All right. How about this second dud? Jared Goff, 7.4 fantasy points, no touchdowns, 1 interception, 200 yards passing. So here's his last 6 games. You ready for it?
Okay, line me.
21,
Okay.
20, 31, 49, 16, and now 7. So are you worried about Jared Goff coming off another
He's had,
game?
one good game, it sounds like?
He's had 1 game of 49 points. He had 1 game of 31 points. That's pretty good. And then he had 2 games in the 20s. And then he had 1 game at 16 and 1 game at 7. But those are his last 2 games. Are you worried about it? They were playing in cold weather last
How
this
good
game.
Todd Gurley is doing right now, he's not getting a lot of pass attempts.
Jared Goff plays the 49ers and the Packers in his next 2 games.
Ooh.
And then the Saints. Those are tasty matchups for a quarterback.
So, all things considered, I would put a question mark on him still because Todd Gurley is there as his running back, and he's going to get a lot more carries than he's going to get passes.
Yeah. So would you start Jared Goff from here on out? Are you worried about him?
I am worried about him.
Are you benching him against the 49ers? Yes or no?
I'm thinking.
Think faster.
No. Okay, I'll bench him.
Okay. How about another dud? Deshaun Watson.
You know what? Start him against the 49ers, bench him against the Packers.
Deshaun Watson, 7.2 fantasy points yesterday against
I'm worried
Buffalo.
about him.
So here are his games through the season. 13, 27, 29, 35, 23, and 7. So definitely an outlier game for him. He's had 2 games where he's had duds. He's had
I'm still worried about him because
4 games where he's been good.
Because he
plays Jacksonville this week. Are you sitting him or starting him?
Am I sitting him or am I starting him?
Against the Jacksonville Jaguars,
I'm
who just
sitting him.
let Dak Prescott have a huge game.
I'm sitting him.
You're sitting him?
Because he's not... Well, he is mobile, kind of, but he's still coming off an ACL injury. And I'm just going to play it safe and not play him against a defense that I know is still good in Jacksonville.
Gotcha. All right. Well, how about we talk running backs now?
Goody.
A dud performance, Jordan Howard, 4.9 points. Again,
Has he had a point above 20 points? A game
his
above
highest
20
is
points?
15.
I would say drop him.
He's got 13, 8, 15, 2.5, and 4.9.
To be honest, I would consider dropping him or looking for a trade.
Yeah.
Would you not?
Yeah, it's hard to trade him, though, because his value is too low.
Yeah, but still, some people still think of his last season and would think, oh, he can come back still.
Yeah, if you can get something for him, I wouldn't be opposed to that at all.
Get like another second-string running back.
He is a player that has just been a disappointment so far. So we'll see if he can bounce back. What about Carlos Hyde? He put up a dud performance, 3.4.
That's multiple dud performances, isn't it?
2 under 10 points, 1 over 20, 3 over 10. So
would you consider him a one-back or a two-back? Or a flex player?
RB2, probably because he gets so many carries. He still gets like 15 to 17 touches a game minimum, sometimes over 20. He plays Tampa Bay next week, though. So he could have a bounce-back game as that defense allows a lot of points. So,
You know what? Considering how Baker Mayfield is struggling, give him one more week. If he doesn't perform this next week, he's a drop in my book.
Okay. What about a guy who a lot of people invested a high draft pick in, somebody who has not scored more than 5.8 points in any game this year in fantasy? Derrick Henry, another dud, 21 rushing yards, 3 points.
Honestly, he's not as good as everyone says he is. He had one good game in the playoffs, and that was it.
He has under 6 points in every game this year.
Oh, drop him. I'm not risking any more games with that consistently bad points.
Yeah, what do you do? And what do you do with Dion Lewis, who also posted 2.4 himself? That offense in Tennessee is just a mess.
Thing is, they're not using him to his advantage. Dion Lewis is a great back, in my opinion.
The game that they won against Philadelphia, they threw him the ball 9 times, and they won that game. He has seen 3 catches and 2 catches in his last 2 games, and it's no secret.
They got to give him the ball more.
They got to get him in space.
They got to give him the ball more. We can agree on that.
So would you rather keep Lewis or Henry?
Keep Lewis.
Drop Henry?
Lewis can get big games. Henry has got nothing.
Henry is one-dimensional. Goal line back, that's it. He gets 2 yards a carry.
I feel like he's like zero-dimensional.
Yeah, so those are the running back duds of the week. Do you have any wide receiver duds that you'd like to talk about? Anybody who stood out to you?
There were. The only thing, I wouldn't call him a dud, obviously, but Julio Jones, I would be worried since he has not had a touchdown yet.
Yeah, he had another really good game, but yes, of course. Until he's not going to get his full value unless he starts scoring touchdowns.
Yeah,
that's where his value comes.
That's my one issue.
I have a big wide receiver dud.
Oh,
Jarvis Landry.
Yeah.
2 catches, 11 yards. Ouch.
Well, how many targets?
I'm not sure right here, but I'm looking at his catches. He now has his last 3 games. We all thought that once Baker Mayfield took over that he would kind of take off. It actually has not happened. He had that big game when Mayfield came in against the Jets, but other than that, he's had 4 catches for 34 and a touchdown, 5 for 69, and 2 for 11 in his last 3 games. So he's about 7 points a game since Mayfield took over. That's not very good.
Yeah, that's average at best.
Are you worried about him in this offense? Would you be trying to trade Jarvis Landry?
Well, do you think his stock is still high?
Yeah, you would think that he would have better situation now with Mayfield rather than Tyrod Taylor.
Mayfield's been struggling also. It's not just Landry. It's the entire offense is struggling.
Mm-hmm.
And would that be a problem? They played a really good defense, granted, in the Chargers. I'm still not really sure what to think. I put him on your. I would still hold on to him, not make him your one receiver though.
Yeah. Okay.
But I would say to my people in my fantasy league, if you want to offer me for something for Landry, feel free to, and I'll take a look at it.
How about
put him on your trade block?
How about this wide receiver who is a legend in his own right, but Larry Fitzgerald, another game where he has under 7 points, he has 6 points, he's only eclipsed 10 one time.
I'm sorry. Look at who his quarterback is. Look.
Are you getting rid of Larry Fitzgerald? Would you outright drop him at this point? He's a 77th ranked wide receiver.
I love Larry Fitzgerald. He's Hall of Famer in my book. But with how bad the team is around him, yeah, I'm getting rid of him. I don't think he's gonna get. He's tradable. I think he's wasting his space.
Is that bad luck to drop Larry Fitzgerald?
I wouldn't call it bad luck. It's just look at his quarterback. He can't give him the ball.
But I'm saying, is it bad luck for your fantasy team if you let Larry Fitzgerald go? Like,
Why is that bad luck?
Will you be cursed because he's such a good guy and a great player?
Oh, you could still have none of respect for the guy, but you got to think of like priorities here. You got to think of production. He's not producing anything. What is he, under 10 points every game? Mm-hmm. It's been 5 weeks. I'm sorry. No.
How about a player that I think a lot of people thought would be producing more, and that's Keelan Cole. Jacksonville Jaguars, 4 points yesterday, so that's his 5th game out of 6 where he has under 7 points. His one game that he had over, he had a 23.
The thing with that is he's built he's a slot receiver. Like he's made as a flex guy in fantasy. Mm-hmm. So I'm not putting all my eggs in that basket. He's probably like one of my last picks in the draft, and if I'm going to be completely honest.
Are you getting rid of him?
Do you think someone would trade for him?
No.
Then I'm dropping him. He's not worth it.
Yeah, it's going to be...
I need guys on my bench that can contribute.
Yeah, it'll be really hard to find a trade partner for that when somebody's, easily available on the waiver wire. Okay, so let's move on to tight ends. I have a tight end dud for you.
Bring it.
Jared Cook, 2 points. So he had a 20... These are his numbers. 24, 7, 5...
Look how bad the Raiders
29, 4, and 2. Jared Cook, he's had 2 monster games and 4 poor games.
Okay, for this one, you got to look at the team around him. They're going nowhere. They look like they're the bottom of the AFC. I'm saying just take what you get and just get rid of them. If someone wants him, trade for him. But I'm not holding on to him. He's not valuable to me right now.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to trust him, but then again, like there's not that many good tight ends, like starters. So if you don't have one of the top 4 or 5, then Jared Cook's probably your next best option. So I would.
But right now he's struggling.
Like, yeah, he's struggling right now.
Do you see him gaining like another 20-point game?
Yeah, he probably will. He'll probably have 2 more, but he'll probably have 5 games where he's under 5 points as well. So
why would you? That's that's too much of a risk. That's going to lose you games.
But the thing is that he's the number 4 tight end right now on points. There's not that many tight ends who are consistent. There's only a couple. Maybe Gronk, Kelsey, and Ertz. Everybody else is kind of hit or miss, right?
Yeah, but I guess. But what I'm trying to say is, if you're going to have 5 games out of the last 17, or out of the last 10, that go under 5 points, you're losing all those games.
I have a tight end who's also a dud performer again. Okay. Jordan Reed, 6 points yesterday. These are his numbers. 12.8, 6.5, 8.5, 2.6, 6.1. Are you worried about Jordan Reed? Are you looking elsewhere if you're a Jordan Reed owner?
I'm going to be optimistic about Jordan Reed because Vernon Davis did have a good game, but him and Alex Smith have had a chemistry in the past. So maybe pick up Vernon Davis and just in case. But Jordan Reed is still that 1 tight end. Vernon Davis is a 2 tight end, maybe even a flex player. So I'm still holding on to Jordan Reed. I still have hope for the guy.
Yeah, he's just a guy who he's always been better in theory than like
he's always like everyone's like he's due for a breakout game, but when you least expect it, he'll break out.
Can we talk about defenses who really laid an egg yesterday?
Oh, gladly. Jacksonville.
The Bears.
Yes, the Bears. I had the Bears on my daily fantasy team. I was PO'd.
A lot of people did. 4 points against a Brock Osweiler-led offense in Miami who has Frank Gore at running back. Not a lot of weapons at all.
That was unreal. I was furious. Well, not furious, but I was frustrated beyond belief.
Yeah, a lot of people had the Bears, especially in daily fantasy, and they upset a lot of people. So
I had them against. I had 2 going. I had the Bears, and then I had the Browns.
Does this change the way you feel about their defense?
I would make it as a serious concern. I would keep them still, but I'm a serious.
I don't think you're playing them next week if you have them because they play the New England Patriots.
Yeah, after Brock Osweiler looks like the greatest quarterback since Dan Marino for them, I'm not trusting him in the slightest.
Yeah,
maybe they're fool's gold. Honestly, maybe they're fool's gold.
I'm not sure. I have another dead defense for you. You ready for it?
Bring it.
The Jacksonville Jaguars.
I was bringing that up. Jacksonville Jaguars, yes.
0 points.
0. Nada. Not even like 0.1.
The greatest defense in the NFL.
Well, arguably.
They definitely were last year. They are not doing the same stuff this year that they...
They are struggling. They're having like a sophomore slump of some kind.
They gave up too many points to the Dallas Cowboys, that's for sure.
Yeah, but... The Dallas Cowboys, granted, did change their offense up with the option play with Prescott and Elliott. So it's not entirely like on them. It's just a different play scheme they weren't ready for. But still questions need to be asked.
Here's a team defense that put up a dud performance after putting up some good, respectable games. Tennessee Titans. I kind of put this one on their offense.
Yeah, the offense lost this game, not their
But they weren't able to put them in good situations.
Well, they only let alone 21 points, granted. That's only 3 touchdowns. It's not like they gave up a lot.
Yeah, I mean...
Joe Flacco still was like not a stellar player.
How about kicker duds? How about Ryan Suckup on the Titans? 0 points.
Well, that team didn't score any points. They didn't give him a chance to score or to kick an easy field goal.
How about Justin Tucker? 3 points.
Well, because all they did was 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. Well, that's what we got for the duds and what to do with them for your fantasy teams. When we come back, we're going to recap me and Jeff's teams. We're going to do push-ups for one of us, the loser.
It's going to be good. You'll do the push-ups.
We're going to total up the points.
All right.
And we'll see how each
I
team
think
did.
I won this in all honesty. I think I got this.
All right, so we'll do that next.
All right. I'm not going to be doing push-ups. Spoiler alert.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
And welcome back to the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. We've talked about the best players out of the Week 6 and also the big duds and question marks you put on them. Now, we're going on to our own little fantasy football thing we have going here. Whoever has the most points doesn't get to do push-ups. Loser does 10. So let's lay off the paperwork. You have all the stats, don't you,
Yes,
Marc?
again, every week, me and Jeff, we pick one quarterback, one running back, one receiver, one tight end, and one flex player. And we total up the points to see who had the best fantasy week between the two of us. So, Jeff, do you remember who you picked as your quarterback this week?
I believe I picked
Kirk Cousins.
I did, and he struggled.
So, again, all these points are based on half PPR scoring, FYI. So, Kirk Cousins, what do you think he ended up with?
20 points.
19.
Oh, so close.
I took Matt Ryan.
Okay.
He had 33.3.
Son of a gun.
All right, so I took the edge there, but we'll see how the rest of our
Good
teams
for
work out.
you. Good
Running
for you.
back, I had Todd Gurley, 38.5. You had Sony Michel,
Who got me 28.
24.6.
Oh, okay.
So I have the advantage there. It gets better for you, though.
Good.
You ready to move on to wide receivers?
Oh, I know exactly who I have. I have Tyreek Hill. Tell me what he got, baby.
39.5.
Oh, baby. Oh, mama.
That's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah. That's the most points out of everybody, huh?
I had Julio, who I just needed to get a touchdown, I swear, if he could just score. 21.3 for Julio Jones from your...
Yeah, one touchdown puts him up to like the 30s.
Yeah, so the Falcons, again, they get him the ball, but they can't get him in the end zone. So it is what it is. All right, so who's your tight end? Do you remember?
I believe it was Gronkowski.
It was.
How did he do?
He had 11.2.
Oh, no. This is going to be so close.
But we'll go back to him in a minute. I had Kelsey, who had 8.6.
Oh,
so you beat me there.
So this is close.
All right.
Oh, God. Who did I pick as my defense?
No, we didn't do defense.
Oh.
We did a flex.
Who's my flex?
Juju.
Yeah, he did good.
18.6.
Yeah, baby.
My flex, not so much. McCaffrey.
Ha! I saw his
10.
stats. 40 yards or something like that. 10 points?
Do you want to know what the total score was between the two of us?
How close was it?
112.9 to 111.8.
Oh my God, who won?
We had a 1.1
Oh,
difference.
who won?
You won.
Yes! Woo!
So hold on.
That's what I'm talking about.
That Gronk catch at the end of the game won you the game.
Oh yeah, I knew he was going to
You
come
were
in
down.
clutch. I knew
you were down by 4
I
points.
knew he was going to come in clutch for me.
But you were down by 4.
I had all faith in my team, but meaning I won by only 1 point feels so good. Go do your push-ups.
What's that line? From,
No, go do your
What's
push-ups.
that line from Fast and Furious? It doesn't matter if you win by a mile or an inch. Winning is winning, or whatever. Is that what he says?
Which Fast and Furious? There's like
The
17
original.
of them. I don't remember that one.
Because like
I remember Too Fast and Too Furious. I don't remember the first one.
Paul Walker's like, "Oh,
Rest in
dude,
peace.
I almost got you," and he's like, "Yeah, it doesn't matter." if
Oh, you mean
win."
Vin Diesel goes, it doesn't matter, you win by a mile.
Yeah.
Anyways, go do the push-ups.
Hold on a second.
No.
I will do them, but let's just talk about this for a minute.
Fine.
That catch put you over the edge.
Beautiful. I love that it was a 1 point differential.
Also,
Yeah?
that Juju touchdown that he didn't get almost lost
cost
you.
the game.
Also, Julio not scoring a touchdown. Just score a touchdown. And McCaffrey, what a dud performance against a Redskins team.
That was incredibly disappointing.
If we look at the numbers here, I killed you with quarterback and running back, but then you killed me with wide receiver. You beat me with tight end. You beat me really good with flex. So you win 112.9 to 111.8. Now it's time for me to pay up.
Yes. All right. I am all alone here. He's getting up. He's moving toward. Okay, we're in a small little office here, so there's not much room. But all right, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice form. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, you got. All right, he got dead. He did 10. I counted. I tried to confuse him with 2 6s.
There's your 10. Yep. There's your 10.
Now
I hope you're
you
happy.
got stronger. You're welcome.
I hope you're happy.
I'm very happy.
I'm out of breath now.
Well, 10 push-ups is not actually. It's actually kind of easy. Anyways, we won't get in on that. But yes, I am the winner. He is the loser.
And then, of course, on Friday.
That's 2 in a row, by the way, for me. I beat you twice.
On Friday, we do these picks. So if you tune into our podcast on Friday, you can see who me and Jeff pick for our best of the week, our team that we're rolling with. We don't have a salary cap here. This is no DraftKings. This is just Mark and Jeff talking about who will
the
win.
rivalry of the century.
I can't believe you won by a point and 1.1 points.
Beautiful.
Unbelievable.
Doesn't matter if you win by a mile or an inch. Winning is winning.
And to think I got Gurley, too. Man, that's a devastating loss.
Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Ha ha. I'm laughing at that guy from Dexter's Laboratory. I forget his name right now. Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. You know who I'm talking about, huh?
No.
Really? Have you ever watched Dexter's Laboratory?
No.
Oh, you need to watch Dexter's Laboratory. That's
I watched too many things.
That was my favorite. That was one of my favorite shows as a kid.
Between football and other sports, I mean, I don't have...
This was when I was like a kid. I was 6 years old watching this.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Moving on.
So what do you think of... You picked Kirk Cousins. You had to be kind of less than impressed by his 19.
I thought he was going to do a lot better.
Yeah, I thought so too. Diggs,
the Cardinals.
Diggs did not do anything, but Thielen had another big game. Kind of weird that we didn't pick Thielen, at least for a flex.
Yeah, wait, why didn't we do? We weren't really thinking, were we?
I considered Thielen, but I picked McCaffrey, which obviously was a terrible decision. So
yeah, I don't know what you were thinking on that.
So don't listen to us or me.
Yeah, don't listen to you because I won twice. I'm 2 in a row wins. Listen to me, baby.
Yeah, I can't believe Gronk won. I wish I would have known that when we were watching last night. I wish I would have been watching for that. Been like, oh no.
Oh, you would have been heartbroken. I would have been ecstatic.
I'd be like, no.
I did see that catch. I was like, what a clutch catch. I wasn't even thinking about our bet. I was just like, wow.
Man, if only Kelsey caught that touchdown in the end zone too.
And if only like more than one small corner was guarding Gronk in that last play.
Yeah, so I think we should take a break, and then when we come back, we have some news about players, injury updates, who you might want to consider picking up in replacement of some of these players who are dealing with injuries, or these players who had big games, if they're worth picking up. Just interesting news for waiver wire in general. We'll do that right after this.
Hang tight.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts, past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
And welcome back to the Fantasy Football Podcast. We just finished talking about our picks from yesterday and our bet and who won. You can listen to that. Also, now we're going on our waiver wire talk. Who do you have in... I think you have someone in mind, don't you?
How about Albert Wilson from the Dolphins, who had a huge game yesterday?
That is a very interesting question. Do you think... But if Brock Osweiler goes again, which I don't think he'll start next week, that's probably his go-to receiver, is it not?
Maybe. He could be. So let me give you the numbers for Albert Wilson, who all of a sudden finds himself as the number 34 ranked receiver in fantasy football. His first game he had 5 points, second game 12, third game 24, then he has 4, then he has 6, then he has 34 yesterday. So he's had 2 games over 20, 3 games over 10, 3 games under 7. Do you like him as a play, as to pick up? Because do you see him scoring more points consistently, or do you think that we'll see a game where he gets 4 or 5 and then another game where he gets 30?
To be completely honest,
his receptions are going up. So he had 3 catches, 2, 4, 5, and 6.
Okay, but I'm also thinking about this. He's not Ryan Tannehill's go-to, but he's going to be Brock Osweiler. So that's what I'm trying to say is he going to have these again, or is this like, because there's a bunch of these guys that have one hit wonder kind of games.
Well, he's had 2 big games now, but he scored 4 touchdowns on the season, which is 4 more than Julio Jones.
Well, there's also a defensive tackle from Minnesota has more touchdowns than he does too.
Would you pick him up, or are you going to wait and miss your opportunity? Because he will be gone for sure.
Is it worth it, though? That is my question to you, sir.
I mean, it depends who you have on your roster, but I would say that he's worth a flyer. If you have an extra spot, maybe you had to pick up a second defense or a second quarterback for this week for players on a bye. I would love to pick up Wilson to see, at least stash him on your bench, see if you can do this another time, or even play him if you need a boom or bust type of play in your flex. Who knows, man? It's interesting to say the least. You saw his moves yesterday. He's extremely fast. He looked a lot like Tyreek Hill for a second there. What did you say?
Yeah, he was speeding up and down the field.
The Bears defense, it's like they
had no answer for him.
Yeah, they couldn't see that speed coming. He is interesting. He is a person, though, that will be... He's a player that somebody in your league will pick up this week. So if you don't pick him up, then you will lose your chance. Here's a player for you. How about Cole Beasley? 28 points. He's had 5 games under 11 points, 4 games under 10 points. Would you pick him up off of this huge game against Jacksonville? Do you see something here, or do you think that this was just, hey, he had a great game, but he'll go back to 2 or 3 catches for 35 yards every game?
I think it's going back to 2 or 3 catches for 35 yards. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I think that it'll be somewhere in the middle, to be honest with you. He plays Washington this week. I could see him having a decent game in the slot. He is interesting, though. The Cowboys don't really have go-to receivers. I mean, Hearns and Gallup, sure, those guys can make plays, but it's not like they have a receiver on their team where they go into the game saying, okay, we got to get this guy 15 targets, So I think Beasley has an opportunity to get 10, 12 targets a game from here on out.
I see what you're saying, yeah, but I don't think he's going to have a breakout game like he did.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about a receiver who had an injury scare. Cooper Kupp. He
multiple injury scares in the last 2 weeks.
He had a concussion the week before. He comes in yesterday. He goes on an end around. He gets tackled on the sideline. He falls awkwardly with his leg kind of trapped underneath his body. It sounds like he avoided a serious injury. It looks like they're going to have an MRI and everything like that, but he did come back to the game. He went off on a cart and came back into the football game, which is very rare to see, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that before, someone that comes off of a cart. Usually the cart means, there's something wrong, surgery or otherwise. And it was a huge risk, I guarantee you, that he went back into the game. Obviously he's okay, but he went out of the game for good after that.
Yeah.
But I still think that I'm going to be worried about his health going to next week.
Sean McVay said that he will have an MRI, but that he was able to come back in the game, but that he didn't look like himself when he came back in. So it is interesting to see how this plays out. But to kind of piggyback on this, Josh Reynolds is their fourth wide receiver. And now with Cooks coming back from concussion and Kupp, who might be out next game, do you think Josh Reynolds is a decent add? Because in that offense, there are opportunities there.
I could see it.
They play against the Niners this week. I would not expect Cooper Kupp to play because it seems like that's a game that they could rest him.
Yeah, but again, it's honestly a coach's decision. He's probably ready to go and play, but this is up to the coach to handle this.
Yeah, it will be something to keep your eye on this week, especially for owners of Cooper Kupp. Just check those injury reports, see where he is. If he's practicing on Wednesday and Thursday, then it's a good sign. If he's not practicing, I would say you're gonna have to prepare as if he's not playing this Sunday against San Francisco. How about we talk about somebody who returned this week, Jeff? I don't know if you noticed, but Greg Olsen returned.
I did see. He was almost non-existent, though.
4 catches, 48 yards, though. Not a bad return.
Well, for him, that's pretty bad.
Yeah. I mean, he's a guy who is usually Cam's favorite target. But do you see progress moving forward? Do you think that he'll be a good option moving forward in this offense?
Greg Olsen, you're saying?
Yeah,
absolutely. He's still a main target for Cam Newton. He's still going to be a target. It's just he's getting more and more back into his groove. He's still coming off an injury. He'll be the main guy again. Yeah,
absolutely. So he's an interesting player. I would definitely invest in him if he's probably not available. If he was on the free agent waiver wire, somebody probably already picked him up. If he's still there, definitely grab him. But it is interesting to see if he'll be a viable option, consistent starter moving forward. How about somebody who you like, who had a scare yesterday? Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley was injured. He had 3 catches for 47 yards early in that game, so he was off to a good start. Again, though, it's another game that he fails to get in the end zone, albeit limited action. So there is news today that it looks like he avoided a major injury. He had an MRI today, and it looks like that he's dealing with a bone bruise. So crisis averted.
Ouch, but that still hurts.
Crisis averted, though, as some people thought he might have had a ligament tear in his ankle. So it's a good sign. Moving forward, again, you're going to want to check to see if he's practicing this week. They play the Giants.
If he practices this week, he'll play. If he's active, play him.
But if he's on your fantasy roster, here's your problem. They play the Giants this week, and then they get a bye week. So I could see them resting him this weekend, and then he's on a bye, so he can't help your team for 2 weeks.
I feel like this team needs a win, though.
Yeah, but if he's, you got to monitor him, right? Like if he's, I don't know if he's going to play. That a bone bruise, like you said, it still will affect him more than likely. So just check those injury reports and make sure.
I feel like this is a owner's decision right here, a fantasy football owner's decision. This is just like it could go either way.
Yeah, absolutely. Who knows also if he's going to be the player in that offense that he was before. Sanu found the end zone. He's an interesting player. So any other player that you want to talk about?
I was mainly wanting to talk about Ridley, but yeah, you kind of talked about everyone else I was thinking of. Is there, if you're in a fantasy league and someone trades you Calvin Ridley for Wilson, are you taking that?
I'd rather have Ridley than Wilson.
Okay. I'm trying to think of scenarios that are probably going to happen in the trade market.
Somebody who might be available that's interesting is Marlon Mack. 12 carries, 89 yards for the Colts. He looked like he's their number one back again. He also dropped that touchdown in the end zone.
Yeah, that's what I was about to bring up. Like he missed a crucial touchdown pass, which could have gotten a lot of points. But I don't know. The team around Andrew Luck is not the best.
Yeah,
like they're not. guaranteed a lot of points or a lot of statistics. I'm just really, when it comes to the Indianapolis offense, I'm very hesitant.
How about Christian Kirk on Arizona? He had 6 catches yesterday. Is he a player that you'd like to pick up?
If I have Ridley, no, keep Ridley. I'm just trying to think of scenarios. If I had a player that I was hesitant to get or hesitant to drop because who am I going to pick up, I would definitely consider him. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to just straight up drop one of my guys for him. I'm going to have to think about it.
Hey, one thing I want to add about Albert Wilson that we were talking about him, he has 21 targets in his past 3 games, which you want to see that number go up, but it has been increasing, so it might not just be a Brock Osweiler game. You
think because now Ryan Tannehill's going to look at him now?
Well, who else do they got? Kenny Stills and Devontae Parker, who it sounds like they're trying to trade. I don't know.
All right, if you're Devontae Parker, if you have Devontae Parker, who do you want him to go to?
A team with a passing offense.
I'm honestly thinking the 49ers. You know why? Because Kyle Shanahan loves to throw the ball.
I actually think maybe like a team like Dallas.
But the thing is, with the 49ers, I'm just bringing the 49ers because they have no other main offensive weapons. Marquise Goodwin's out with injury most of the time. Pierre Garçon's not the main guy. Parker goes in there. He's the one receiver. He's going to get a lot of targets.
Yeah, he might.
You want him to go to a team that doesn't have a lot of main weapons so he can be the weapon.
Yeah, it will be interesting. I don't know. I'm not really high on him. I think wherever he goes, he'll probably struggle. I'm just not confident in him, in his ability and his mentality, because it sounds like he's just been kind of a pain for the Dolphins.
I think just because he's not the number one guy, he's being a pain.
Yeah, okay.
But we'll see. Anything else to talk about?
Nope, that's it.
That's all the time we have
Friday,
for today.
we will do our picks again, so make sure to check that out.
And also check out our football podcast, our sports podcast, and any other podcasts we do. We're probably revolving around sports in general. But we will see you on Friday for the Fantasy Football Podcast.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Fantasy Football Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.